You know, they should let us go on walks more. I kinda like their special treatment. Yeah, the cold breeze is quite nice. But didn't they say it was for something in return? It was something about testing out a new weapon. I don't know, said they were using it to completely rebuild the surface as we know it. Some facility mumbo jumbo. Holy! What's that? Whoa, is that a bird? No, I think it's a plane? No, it's an atomic bomb! Wait, I'm sorry, did you just say it looks like a bird and you a plane? It doesn't even look anything remotely close to either of those. Are you guys idiots? SCPSL, pointed out by its name, is a game that revolves around a secret facility in the SCP universe. It aims to encapsulate the reality of the scenario being an active containment breach of all anomalies and personnel, while allowing you to play as any class in the facility. The game holds 4 different zones: light containment, heavy containment, entrance zone, and surface zone. But what if I told you that one of these zones has caused the biggest complaints and update-related drama regarding the game? What if I told you that the collectiveness of the community wanting this zone changed has caused Northwood, the developer company of the game, to dream about fire and pitchforks in the middle of the night, only to abruptly wake up in a cold sweat as if it was a distant memory? Well, it's true. Maybe slightly exaggerated, but true. One of these zones is so collectively agreed upon that it needs a big rework that it was promised years ago. But those promises fell short. And that zone was Surface. The introduction I gave probably gives the most surface level reason of why Surface Zone should be changed. It's the zone that is most collectively agreed upon of needing a rehaul, and in the history of SL, potentially the most requested. But obviously, there has to be a reason why everyone wants to be changed, right? Well, sort of. I think a lot of people just know Surface needs a rehaul without being able to put it into words, but I'm here to put those words into existence and give a deeper dive of these problems, instead of just the surface level reasons. Probably the easiest problem with Surface to go over is its dullness. Surface is nothing special, with everything it holds being outdated and made years ago. Assets taken from Containment Breach, a recessor of this game, from a different company. There's such a lack of detail or anything cool about Surface, making it so bland and interesting. An overhaul that adds a lot more to see, small and big details everywhere, would be such a refreshing breath of air that would make the Surface a sight to behold. Another problem I see with Surface is its size. For such a large facility that is supposed to make you feel insecure and powerless against its magnitude, Surface stays relatively small. Its size holds no impact, minimal elevation, and aspects that make you feel insignificant compared to the facility's colossal size. Another problem I see is how linear Surface is. The only contact between Gate A and Gate B is this one gate, leaving only a funnel from one side to get to the other. This leaves stalemates post-nuke, where whichever side decides to push the other side has a severe disadvantage. There's no room for gameplay outside of just bomb rushing, completely limiting the ability for interesting tactics and counterplay. This parallels slightly to the problem of camping, but I feel there's not enough to say about camping on Surface to make it its own talking point, so I just thought I'd throw it into the ring. Yet, this leads me to my next point, the gunplay. As much as I strongly believe that SCPSL shouldn't be completely PvP orientated, Surface, I feel, is the biggest exception to this. Surface is heavily late game, post-nuke, after the entire facility has been wiped. One final brawl between classes is always exciting, and having terrain and buildings that accentuate this detail and make this gunplay fun while opening vast opportunities for strategies and counterplay would be beneficial. This lays a little bit into how useless SCPs are post-nuke, and while I actually don't consider that as a problem, as I think a zone where SCPs are powerless to keep SCPs with the objective to prevent nuke from going off is engaging, I think with the addition of Dead Man Switch, it feels a little unfair to force an SCP into a zone where they hold a fraction of their weight. Yet, I don't think this is a problem with Surface, but rather with SCPs. Perhaps SCPs should be granted special abilities post-nuke. Or the more SCPs kill, the more abilities they get, to reward SCPs and make endgame more viable. Or perhaps that's a topic for another video. Now, with all these problems highlighted, I say it's about time we get into the actual meat of this video. Oh, hey boss. Say, what are you working on?
Nothing too big. Just finally adding a new playable SCP after the keycard rework. Here at Northwood, we'd like to prioritize the important things first.
Oh, that's cool. I actually really think it's cool you're working on a new playable SCP now. And, you know, I was kind of thinking, maybe we should add back those little rooms and entrance that added more depth to the facility. You know, those little walk-in rooms? I think it would be cool.
Oh, yikes. You know we had to remove those things from entrance to prevent camping, right? I don't think adding them back would be a good idea.
Camping? Wait, didn't you guys add Snake to the Chaos Insurgency keycard?
Oh my god, yeah! Isn't it so cool? Oh, I find it so fun, and yeah, it's really fun. We also made it so it was binded to your walking keys, with no way to unbind it. So, that was a real funny spit in the face.
You realize adding Snake to Chaos Insurgency's keycard literally promotes camping, right? You know, actually, maybe we could salvage this. Maybe you should just add that to spectator chat. I'm sure some people would love a little bit of extra entertainment while being a spectator.
Hey, don't forget I'm trying to work here. Stop distracting me with good ideas and get out of my office.
Yeah, okay, but first...
I said, get out of my office.
With Surface, I think it's much more important to visualize exactly what I'm talking about, which is why I not only decided to draw exactly what I was thinking of, but put it into something actually 3D. Now, 2 disclaimers. 1, I'm no artist, so if scales and angles are wonky, or something looks badly drawn, I apologize. And second off, let's just say I'd rather use something I've already spent my money on and something I am somewhat familiar with to visualize what I'm talking about, instead of buying a completely new and trying to learn an actual 3D software. So I will be using Minecraft. Finally, with all this out the way, bam! This is what you've been waiting for. This is my bird's eye view drawing of Surface. While it's a lot to take in from the start, don't worry. I'll be going over each and every part of my render, while hopefully giving you a better view as to what I'm imagining by letting you see what I'm thinking of in scale. Let's dissect this in a very easy way. What you're seeing is the bird's eye view of Surface in Minecraft. First, we will start off with the MTF spawn. The MTF spawn would be an elevated helicopter landing encased with titanous walls. This landing pad would attract the helicopter that emerges from the other side of the wall, paralleling to what we have currently in the game. This would give a distinct reason for a helicopter to land here instead of just the helicopter landing on some random piece of road. A small ramp will keep the pad slightly elevated and set to connect the road, which would allow some shipments of product via helicopter. A small gate in the side of the wall would be the continuation of the road, so it doesn't just abruptly end at the helicopter pad. A small opening in the walls will be present, allowing a smaller path that is both on foot and for smaller cars to exist. The start is encased with railings, and throughout the small road, there are pit stops along the way. These pit stops are small buildings that control road barriers, preventing cars from leaving and entering. Making it down to the end of the road, there would be a black van with tinted windows. Yet, I didn't build it because cars are actually a lot harder to build than I initially anticipated. The nature of this car and how anonymous it is should allow for there to be the argument it is of any faction when a class is escaping. Back to the encased road, there is one staircase and one outer elevator. Both bring you up to higher elevation. These higher walkways connect to the Gate B elevator and this watchtower. This watchtower is the only one I built because it would be the only one you can interact with. This watchtower would hold an elevator inside, allowing you to make it to the top. It gives the Gate B side of surface an elevated area that overlooks its entirety, along with the escape. The goal of this is to make escaping have one last bit of tension, with the potential threat of someone overlooking it. It's honestly been a cool idea in my head that you'd be escaping and bullets would be whizzing by you as you take cover and fire up into the watchtower. It would also lead to some interesting strategies post-nuke. This piece of elevated ground leads to a walkway that connects to an elevator for Gate B. Now I had a really cool idea for the elevators. One of my biggest issues and critiques with the elevators we have currently in Surface and Entrance is that in Entrance Zone, we see this gate with tire marks, presumably from shipments in the facility where cars drive down to drop off products. But there's nothing really else built upon that. I think it would be really cool if the elevators between Surface and Entrance were different from the rest of the facility, being more similar to the ones we find in servers, but bigger to symbolize the shipments brought in. This is the design I came up with, a metal outside and a metal gate inside that would both open vertically. The elevator would be printed with this decal, displaying the text, Gate B designated drop-off zone, Site 02, with a cool design. My idea here is that when the elevator is called, the outer metal sheet closes, but is attached to the surface part of the facility. Behind the outer metal sheets, a thick iron gate closes, attached to the elevator, protecting the people inside and descending with the elevator. The inside of the elevator is exposed to the bare walls of the elevator shaft, meaning during its descent, there is the potential to see decals plastered over the walls. Now, there's a couple things to observe in this area. For starters, we have a huge tunnel. This tunnel connects the Gate B and gate side of the surface, filled with roadblocks, loose tires, and turned over cars, which are way harder to build than you think, which is why I didn't, but I did draw it. Within this tunnel, Nuke Room is held. The Nuke Room holds a bulletproof glass window, allowing people from the outside to see into the inside. In addition, there is an open intermission area, where Nuke Room is displayed in bold text on a sign above, and shelves and boxes are showed outside. Then there is this door that connects the Nuke Room to the outside. Here's the drawn animation I made, and the designs for this door that you would see on Surface, as well as Nuke Room. I also quickly want to note that even though I didn't really include it in the drawings or 3D modeling, there is the potential for this Nuke Room to also just be intertwined with Cassie. Just want to throw that out there quickly. Yeah. Now, when we exit this tunnel, we see Gate A. There's a lot of stuff to soak in here. First, we have a continuation of the road from Gate B, which is blocked by a massive gate. More on this gate later. While we walk, we see a small platform extruded from the side of the wall that leads to a staircase. This leads to an elevated platform that oversees the road of Gate A, connecting the upper levels to the lower levels. Walking up, we find multiple things. For starters, we find a pathway that connects the elevator on Gate B's side to the platform on Gate A's side. Gate A's elevator can also be seen here, on the other side of this walkway, separated by a huge hole that lets people see the road down below. If we look slightly right, however, we will be met with something new entirely. Walking over these fenced-off gaps that show a road beneath the site, we are met with the potential for a Gate C. I think it would be cool if we could have another gate in the facility to enter this place. Yet, I know Gate C would be a very big change. So in case this isn't wanted at all, this could be repurposed for something else entirely. Walking past Gate A, a staircase further down leads back to the road below. A huge gate protrudes from the wall, being the other entrance to this encased surface point of the facility. But continuing to look, and we see this elevated piece of road. This would be Chaos Spawn. A Chaos car emerges from this gate, driving through to drop Chaos off. The Chaos are split between these three platforms with stairs to prevent grenade camping. After the Chaos Insurgency is dropped off, the car continues driving off into this gate. Continuing to wander, we see this bridge that carries a walkway above that lets us walk through underneath. Walking through this bridge, we see a small gap in one of its sides, a sort of hallway. Entering, we explore what I would like to call the maintenance halls, a tunnelish set of hallways that lead to a main area in the center before splitting back off into tunnels on the other side. These halls would be full of boxes, power and electricity boxes, pipes, fuse boxes, and all sorts of things. These maintenance halls would also connect back to Gate B, adding another way to get from Gate A to Gate B and vice versa. Now, finally, before I get into why all of this solves all the problems I addressed, I want to go over this gate that I skipped over. It would be parallel to the gate we have currently on surface, but with a twist. See, this would leave a very open walkway from each side of surface, giving a huge window to see into the other side. While I think this is important early game to prevent camping and let classes traverse easier, when Nuke is detonated, I imagine that this gate would close and be locked. It would leave players a little bit more blind and confine surface a bit more, forcing players to traverse to the other side instead of staying put. Okay, that was a lot to go over, but let's explain the reasoning behind everything. First off, and most obvious, we fix the problem that surface is outdated and has a lack of detail. With modernized assets, more objects in depth, and a larger variety to the facility is much more detailed and is no longer dull and empty. Secondly, and also most obvious, we have improved the scale of the facility. There's much more to explore, it's much bigger, and the facility holds much more weight. We also solved how linear surface was by adding multiple ways to get from Gate A to Gate B and vice versa, having a total of 4 ways to get from one side to the other, instead of the one way through one giant gate we have currently. Finally, we solved Gunplay by adding multiple levels of elevation, multiple ways to get around the area, and differing types of space, some areas being wide open and others being limited and confined, allowing for all types of different gameplay strategies. I am really proud of this design, and not only do I think it improves everything about the current Surface we have, but I believe it holds a lot of what makes Surface good and what is already done right about it. The lack of items on Surface, I believe, is important. I like the idea of Surface being a final bra, where there's no ability to grab extra items, maybe just limited to ammo, where classes fight each other with everything they've gotten on their journey. Just pure skill in whatever someone has worked for. Well, that's my idea for Surface. And you know, sometimes I always hate finding myself here, at the end of these videos. It was really fun drawing and building this, and something about the entire process is just so fun to me. I love pouring effort into these projects and these videos, and I'm really happy a lot of people enjoy watching these, and I am ever so grateful that people do. While I feel it's a little too late to say, considering most people would have already clicked off the video already, I still want to say this. Please remember, while I try my best to put an idea out there and put an image in your head, this is a liquid idea. This is my perception only. I took no inspiration from anything. None of this is set in stone or solid, and I think it's very healthy to not like it or want something to be different. It's up to everyone. So if you dislike something or like something but just want it to be slightly different or expanded upon, or you feel like it just misses the mark and should be a little bit different, please, I encourage you to reimagine it exactly how you want. And if you just hate my entire idea, stop anyway. That's all. Have a great rest of your day or night or whatever time it is for you. Until next time, see you on the flip side.